of memories, the good and the bad. They all serve to shape who we are. At their most fundamental, it's our memories that enable us to learn, to understand whether things are safe or dangerous, and to realize that we have responsibilities. Meanwhile, it's also thanks to our memories that we can retain information, ranging from the date of your best friend's birthday to the date of the moon landings or the JFK assassination, or from the taste of strawberries to the sound of an airplane engine. Our memories also intrinsically shape how we feel, our general worldview, and our hopes or fears for the future. Our personalities are built on them. Our relationships are sparked by them. Our life choices are guided by them. Our memories are us. And so it can feel pretty dismaying, distressing, and generally concerning to consider that when we die, all of our memories will essentially evaporate. And in truth, this is the most widely held assumption, that while the memory of a person can certainly live on, the memories of that person, the thoughts that they held within themselves, do disappear at death. However, that said, and given the innate unknowableness of death, this also isn't a hard and fast law, and there are alternate theories to propose a different fate. First, there are the physical intricacies of memory in the final moments. What happens to our memories from the perspective of inside our brains? In general, when a person dies, the brain encounters a cascade of changes. The end of blood flow and oxygen supply marks the beginning of a sequence that transforms this once indispensable organ into a lifeless mass. In the absence of oxygen, our brain cells face a rapid energy crisis, and the millions of neural connections that had been constantly, quietly running throughout our lives quickly fizzle out. The hippocampus is a region that's especially crucial for memory consolidation, and it's particularly vulnerable. As the brain endures a shortage of blood flow, known as ischemia, it appears that the hippocampus is often among the first areas to sustain damage. The cells within are prone to swell and collapse, and the information that's encoded along countless synaptic pathways is then immediately under threat. It's partly why memory loss is an especially common outcome for those who suffer head injuries or brain damage. While it isn't a universal truth, it seems as though our memory centers are among the first to fall whenever the brain encounters trauma. And so it would seem with death. Studies have shown that in the immediate aftermath of death, somewhere between the first 30 and 60 seconds post-death, there is a surge of brain activity that often centers on those regions responsible for memory. It could be that it's within these moments that near-death experiences are formed. However, if the person and their brain stays dead, then that surge is short-lived. In a neural sense, nothing lands, and shutdown is inevitable. From that point, as the body and the brain begin to decay and ultimately disintegrate, there is no biological sense in which memories can still exist. Which isn't to say that there is no physical way entirely, at least not according to some. If you take a biocentric worldview, as outlined in particular by the US doctor and scientist Robert Lanza, then you might argue that it matters not what happens to your brain and body. For biocentrists, drawing on elements from quantum physics and the observer effect, it could be that consciousness exists above all, that it can continue without a body or a brain along a different plane of existence post-death. If this were ever proven, then it seemingly would show that your memories do continue, or at least are kept, after you die. Similarly, an increasing number of theorists, including the noted British Nobel Prize winner Sir Roger Penrose, have debated how consciousness could in fact be solely the product of quantum mechanics. Quantum theories on biology and ideas around the quantum soul all hint toward our true selves being much more than just the bodies that house them. Again, if consciousness were ever proven along these lines, then one implication is that it could already be immortal, and as a result, your memories might already be preserved forever, just not via the brain that you have right now. Of course, not everyone views memory as a purely scientific concern. It's a centuries-old subject for philosophers as well. And religions offer their own take on what happens to what we know after we're gone. For example, some philosophies propose that memories live on through the impact individuals leave on the world, be it through artistic creations, scientific contributions, or personal relationships. The essence of a person remains in the collective consciousness of society. This isn't quite the same as simply not forgetting someone. It's more to do with continuing to understand them or continuing to consult them, perhaps by reading something that a dead person has written, or pondering something that they've drawn, painted, or built. Meanwhile, certain belief systems posit a much more metaphysical continuity, a beyond-this-world afterlife where consciousness again endures, but crucially where memories are kept as well. Many versions of heaven offer something like this, although one popular argument against heaven is that if we do remember, and we therefore remember the opposite concept of hell, and we therefore retain knowledge of all the worst things, then is heaven ever really possible? And if heaven is only possible if we forget, then how good can it ever be without the best memories we've ever made? We took a closer look at this particular paradox in another recent video, so be sure to check that out after this. On the other hand, most religious and spiritual concepts of reincarnation offer much less in terms of memory. While some versions do suggest that you will retain all you knew when you get reborn inside the body of someone or something else, most accept that any prior knowledge is lost from life to life. Here's where talk of apparent past life memories is of interest though, which again we've covered before in previous videos. In short, however, a leading researcher in this field is one Dr. Jim Tucker of the University of Virginia School of Medicine, who has conducted hundreds of interviews over a number of years, all with children who can seemingly recall things they can't possibly have known about, because they all happened before they were born. Could it be then that their previous memories have been retained? Finally though, there's the philosophical argument for eternal oblivion. Contrary to the what they view as misplaced optimism of the previous perspectives, those in favor of eternal oblivion generally suggest that memories do perish with the individual. In this view, death marks the end of subjective experience, and memories blank out into the void. Perhaps leaving echoes in the minds of anyone who knew the deceased person, yes, but only echoes. The true memory is gone forever. Finally though, what does the preservation of memory look like in the future? Overall, we could be fast approaching a major paradigm shift in how the concept of memory is even considered. While the present may not offer a concrete answer to the afterlife of memories, the future holds tantalizing possibilities. Digital storage, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing all provide potential avenues for preserving and perhaps even resurrecting the memories of the dead. Today, thanks to rapid advancements in neuroscience and technology, the prospect of digital immortality is very real. Increasing numbers see a future where memories are no longer confined to just the decaying neurons of the brain, but are instead continually uploaded onto digital platforms, or are continually enhanced by physical memory chips implanted into our brains, or are constantly regurgitated via personalized chatbots that will live on long after we ourselves are gone. Companies all around the world are already exploring ways to capture and store personal experiences, creating virtual repositories of memory that could one day be accessed, perhaps universally accessed and shared. Combined with mounting theories on consciousness as a quantum state, it's suddenly becoming possible to easily imagine a time when the contents of your mind and brain are never actually lost. Quite how we should feel about that is another matter. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, both about what you think happens right now and what you predict for the future.